pressure group and civil society organizations in Liberia should have. The Economic Freedom Fighter of Liberia will today express issues of great importance to the Liberian people, ranging from the process of the denial of a certification program, ANEC, to be accredited in the future political party in Liberia. As we speak today, this press conference is being carried live in Miami County and some of the media from Miami County. We want to say, we stay free, keep cool. As a Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighter of Liberia will be addressing the press on these issues affecting the economic freedom fighters in Liberia as a whole. Fellow fighters, let us welcome on stage Honorable Emmanuel Gwangwe, Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighter of Liberia, who will address the press conference today.
Yo, the Economic Freedom Fighter of Liberia, yo. We are prepared to move in the valley of skin, yo. Never take us serious, yo. Never stop taking instruction from Jowia, yo. Economic Freedom Fighter about to address the media, yo. Mana.
Fellow fighters, members of the Central Revolutionary Council of the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia, fellow citizens, the 4th F states, ladies and gentlemen. We are glad today to have you in our midst as we address issues confronting the status of the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia, as well as many governance issues in our beloved nation's Mama Liberia. As you may be aware, few years ago, we organized the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia as a political group in Liberia and subsequently announced our transitions from a political pressure group to a political party because we wanted to be around the political decision-making table to guide Liberia to the future that Liberia truly deserves. Since we began the process of engaging the legal institution, the National Elections Commissions, in pursuit of our registrations as a political party, we have done what we can in the legal framework of the instrument governing the registrations of political parties in Liberia. But unfortunately, for many months and years, the National Elections Commission, with disregard to the democratic credentials of our state and disregard to the rule of law, have decided to stall our registration process, holding the future of Liberia at bay and holding the future of our institution at bay. Fellow citizens, we have submitted all the documents required by the National Elections Commission in order for us to be a political party. In January of this year, we wrote the chairperson of the Elections Commission a copy of the letter this year that we're going to share with the media. Since January, the Electoral Commission has refused, based on instructions from George Manuel Weah, who is a dissident of democracy, to grant us the permit that we need to exist in the political space as a registered political party. In this country, men sacrifice a life to pursue multi-party democracy, so that those of us who believe in democracy will have the freedom to participate and enjoy the constitutional rights that is given to us in Liberia. Those who sacrifice a life, including Gabriel Baker Matthews and all of progressives, did not sacrifice their life because they wanted to celebrate George Weah or to create an empire under whose administrations we will take instructions and disregard the values of democracy. The Elections Commission, we are told, from sources within the Elections Commission, that the President of Liberia and all of people placed in sensitive government position have given the Elections Commission clear mandate to not certificate the economic freedom fighters of Liberia because they understand our grand game, and they are fully aware that giving us a certification will mean that giving an atomic weapon to forces who will obviously come after you. So they are prepared to deny us and disenfranchise us from existing in the political space of our nations as a political party. And we take serious exceptions that the Electoral Commission, that should be the face of our democratic process, the Electoral Commissions, as we engage 2023, that should be the face of our peace process, will continuously take instructions from a football doll George Weah, who doesn't understand the governance space and understands democracy, to deny us our constitutional rights. And we can say to Liberians, if the Electoral Commission can deny our existence as a political party, it means we are not sure of a free and fair election next year. And this should be concerning, because if the Elections Commission, that should be the home of integrity and independence, will continuously take instructions from members of the executive, then we are not sure of a free and fair democratic process in 2023. And we can assure them, if this government, led by an incompetent football star George Weah, believe that the electoral process will be tampered with to maintain power in 2023, George Weah should be finding a resting place perhaps in the graveyard, or should be finding a resting place at South Beach. Because these elections, all these elections, will never be tampered with by any political idiots who believe they will do anything to circumvent the laws of our state and allow themselves to be in power beyond 2023. They can be assured of that. And you media know that the economic freedom fighters is not a coward, and you know how brave we are when it comes to taking radical political decisions. Fellow citizens, we have heard numerous crowds from fellow citizens that the economic freedom fighters is quiet because it's in the pocket of George Weah. We want to say this to you clearly, that we're not quiet. We lower the political pressure. A lion is always a lion. We lower the political pressure because we wanted to pursue the government in ensuring a speedy certification process of the economic freedom fighters of Liberia. Lowering the political pressure does not in any way suggest that this noble institution is compromised in doing business with the ruling party. We can assure Liberians and the world that we will never, in any given circumstances, compromise our stance and moral value because we're supposed to do business with the ruling party. In our constitution, we are clear. We are the only political party clear by definitions in our Constitution. And our Constitution forbids an institution, the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia, from doing business with the CDC. So we can never, in any given time, contravene our own constitutions and law. We've crafted the law denying Liberians who are associated with the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia the chance to do political business with the ruling party. And we will never, in any circumstances, do business with the ruling party. Fellow citizens, we want to say this to you clearly. Many Liberians are saying that there are many political parties already in Liberia, and why the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia is pursuing the political status. Let me say this. Our ideologies are far different from the ideologies of existing political institutions in Liberia. We have history of being party disciplined. Many of the political parties in Liberia lack internal party discipline. And that's the reason why we want to pursue our registrations as political party. You are witness. In Liberia, the standard bearer will have issues with the governing status of the society. But to your amaze, members of the legislatures who come from different political parties will be disagreeing with the standard bearer by taking decisions that the party disagree with. During elections, you see the standard bearer campaigning on different agenda. The representatives and senators are campaigning on different agenda. During the 30,000 situation for which we landed in the central prison, most of the standard bearers in Liberia did not criticize the lawmakers who are in the Capitol building agreeing with the executive to go to state. But we did so because we believe in the Liberians' integrity and we believe in Liberia. We believe in the people. So we say to you, we are organizing political parties not because there's no political parties in Liberia. No, there are political parties in Liberia. In other countries, there are 44 political parties. There are 100 political parties. Why people do not argue of the formation of new political parties in these jurisdictions? We must be given the space. We must be given the support, the moral and political support, to exist here in the borders of Liberia as a political parties. Because we can only guarantee strengthening governance process. We will never agree as a Central Revolutionary Council to take up decisions. And members of the Central Revolutionary Council go out there to take different decisions. That's party discipline. The problem we have in Liberia, it is not because of resistance of many political parties. The problem we have in Liberia is because we lack discipline. The political party will take one step, and the rest of the other members of the political party will go taking different steps. You see that every day. Here we are in the opposition, talking about reform. But see what is happening in the legislature. If you do your math, we have majority of the people in the legislature either associated with the opposition, both the independent candidate, but all the opposition political parties together. We have more people in the legislature from the opposition perspective. Why George Weah is president today? Why can now we muster the courage, the different political leaders, the different representatives and senators, independent candidates? They are here. They are living witness to the economic hardship that people are going through. The sort of mothers on the fence, struggling to buy better rights. Why can now we move to impede George Weah today? But because we are quiet and pursuing our agenda, because we went to our executive committee meeting and agreed that we must lower the political pressure and pursue our agenda, some people believe we are compromised. But those who are the legislature from the different political parties agree with the executive. Those who are crafting laws that 50% of their salary should be given them after they should have left the Capitol building. They are the people who are compromised. Not people like us who are pursuing a political agenda. Because when you say to the Liberian people that 50% of your income must come to you after retirement from the legislature, knowing the economic situations in our country, it means you are even more compromised than those of us who believe we should lower the political pressure to pursue our agenda. I want to say to you, fellow citizens, members of the opposition, George Weah is more than an international threat to our country. There's a need for us to come together. Regardless of the different issues we have, regardless of the different ideological understanding, the different manifesto, we must find the courage to come together. Because if we don't come together, there's a likelihood that this man who is a threat to our international image, as well as our economy, and the survival of the ordinary people, might likely have the chance to come back to power. What will be the legacy? What will be the pride? What will we say if George Weah, who has undermined the fabric of our nation, come to power in 2023? What will we say to the ordinary people who are struggling to have corporate to eat? What will we say? I say to you, opposition members, it's time to come together. We have to face our problem. We killed one another during the Civil War, but we found courage to meet in Accra, to agree, to come here and form an interim government and work together, end the crisis. We must find the courage to end the crisis within the opposition and unite and go against George Weah, who is a dissident of democracy. George Weah and his masquerade does not believe in democracy. We must do all we can do to prevent them from winning power. I will close by saying, anyone, Liberians, who support George Weah's presidential bid in 2023, that person can be equated to a murderer. Anyone, I repeat, anyone Liberian who support George Weah's presidential bid in 2023, that person can be equated to a murderer. Once you support George Weah, it means you can kill your wife, you can kill your children. This country is on the bad footing. We cannot afford to have George Weah and his people who consistently affirm undermining the sovereignty of our nations and the constitution of our country to become victorious in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, we will close by sharing with you the copy of a letter we wrote to the Election Commission since January. And many times people say because we went to jail, so we are afraid of jail. Let me repeat my statement. When I came from jail, I said, if you give me the second time, we will close the executive action. We do not regret. We are never afraid of jail. When you become a revolutionary, jailhouse becomes your home. When you are a revolutionary, jailhouse is something that you celebrate. We are not afraid of court. We are not afraid of jailhouse. We will never be afraid of jailhouse. All we are trying to do is to build a home for the new generation of progressive leaders in Liberia. And that's why we've been pursuing the registration of EFF as a political party. Because the progressives that are coming up, they want a political home. They want where they can stand and knock their chest. That when they make decisions today, nobody will go at the back door and make separate decisions. That's a home. We want to build a home where those who are crying as the oppressor today will not come to power tomorrow. And the oppressed today will not come to power and be the oppressor. We want to build a legitimate political home. A home that can guarantee the future that all of us deserve. Fellow citizens, thank you. May God bless Liberia. We pause here to take questions.
Mana, wait, mana, wait, mana, wait, mana, wait, mana, wait. Give the presidency. Yo. Let's see as you say, the opposition to come together. Yo. Mana, wait.
Thank you so much, fellow journalists. We are going to entertain 6 questions. I say 6 because I know some of you guys will double your questions. So let's begin with you. Let's start with Nessie.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Henson Dega, and I do
We're going to take the first 3 CRC and respond to them and come back to the other 3.
My name is Henson Dega, and I do report for Truth FM. I did listen to your deliberation. And of course, I would like to know, why is it you think that the National Elections Commission will want to deny your pressure political institution from becoming a political party? Owing on to the fact, as you stated, you've met all of the requirements.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Winston, I read for the New York. The B to the question asked by my colleague, how do you derive at the conclusion that President Weah is indeed behind your rejection of the security perspective?
One more question.
CRC, please explain all the conditions you face at the Central Prison.
Well, thank you so much. I think the B and A of the questions are almost the same, but I will say this to you. Besides the intelligence, as revolutionary organizations, we operate on intelligence. Besides the intelligence we have received from people within the executive that are angry with the president for not doing his job, there are people within the executive that are very uncomfortable with the governance style of the state. So besides the intelligence we receive, these communications that we sent to the National Elections Commission, dated January 5th, up to now, the Elections Commission has not responded to the communication. We've been at the Elections Commission 100 times doing follow-up with the communication. This is a clear indication because no responsible governance institution or corporate organizations, you will write the communications knowing their statutory responsibility, will not call you by phone or respond to your communication, and you are going there consistently without a redress. So it's a clear indication that what we heard from our intelligence sources within the executive are true. That Joshua has given clear instructions that we should not be certificated. Because he feels strongly that when we are certificated, the political space will be a heated one for him. He knows the Red Army will be in the street every time. But we can guarantee him, even if we are not certificated under Joshua regime, we will be certificated in the future. And because of this, we have been quiet. Even on my campaign trail, my campaign in my County, I have not been able to move. I'm running in my I can't move. Because every time I go to the county, people are asking me, what is a party status? I can't move. I can't go to the county. It is preferable that we set the record straight. So that if I'm contesting as an independent candidate in my county, I'm contesting as an independent candidate. We are members of the Democratic Alliance, for example. Up to now, the registration of the Democratic Alliance, which is a new collaborating political party in Nigeria, we are doing the registration on that. We cannot proceed, the Democratic Alliance cannot proceed with that registration because our constituent political party, we do not have certification. So how can the Democratic Alliance proceed with the registration? We might as just well leave the Democratic Alliance because we do not have a political status to be listed as constituent party of the Democratic Alliance. This is disenfranchising us and abusing our constitutional right. So you as a journalist from a media institution, who will write your media institution from January 5th, if there's no ulterior motive, up to now, there's no redress to that communication? Tell me. Regarding your question as to how we were treated in the prison, I think a lot of people believe that because we left from prison, we decided to go quiet because we are afraid. Let me say this to you. Like I said in my intro, we are never afraid of prison. Never. We are never afraid. If we were given the chance again, we will lock the executive action tomorrow morning. This president we have does not deserve to be the president of Liberia. If we were we had a political party in Liberia with seat at the representative or at the Senate, but now the impeachment bill for Georgia is on the floor. You know that. Your media know that. We don't joke. We just lower the political pressure, we lower the bar because we wanted to pursue the legitimate registration of the EFF. It doesn't mean that we are compromised, and we will never be compromised because our constitution is clear. No member of the Economic Freedom Fighter of Libera is allowed to do business with CDC. No member. Our constitution is clear. No political parties in the existence of Libera included an article that your officials do not have the right to do business with CDC. I challenge all the political parties in Liberia. It means we are clear that the Morning Star. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The last three questions, and okay, so let's do some gender thing, guys. I have to. All right, so we'll add it on. Go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, my name is Dennis Davidson, and I recruit for Joe FM. I'd like to know, you made mention about some people in the executive that have disclosed some information to you. Do you care to name them? And also, as a pressure group, what makes it different? What difference can you make by being a political party that remain a pressure group you cannot, achieve? And I'd like to know, in terms of that, are you really doing this in terms of pressuring government for the interest, in the interest of the country, or just for political gain?
Okay, Tasia.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Taseki Murphy. I report for Capital FM. I want to know, with just all you have said, what will be your next course of action? Will you be taking the National Election Commission to court, or will there be a protest in the coming weeks?
Yes, so see, as you mentioned, the EFFL has been silent for some time then, and your justification is that, you lower the pressure to pursue your legal status as a political party. So my question is it that the EFFL is not able to do, let's say, multiple taxing, or is not versatile enough to pursue its legal status at the same time, pressuring the government to do the right thing?
Okay, seriously, before you take the questions, let me just add, the last one quickly. I just want to, my name is Matthias, I work for Sky. You mentioned about anyone who supports George Weah in 2023, that person's action can be equated to a murder. We live in a democratic space. It is the right of people to exercise their democratic franchise. Why would you term other people who would decide to support George Weah as murderers, but not term the very people who would decide to support EFFL or the Democratic Alliance that you're part of now, or maybe United Party, as murderers?
Well, let me say this. Let me start with him. Not that we cannot pursue or we are not multitasking. But in Liberia, our people say, when your left hand is in the mouth of the leper, you cannot use the right hand to slap the leper. So we cannot, knowing the history of CDC and the government, the way they are proceeded, with critical institutions that disagree with them. For example, the Punch FM situations, the registration of COP, the business registries, and all of progressive organizations that have been struggling to register. If you look at that history, you can clearly see that, by lowering the political pressure, was a good strategy to allow the government to see our weakness, to speedily, certificate us as a political party. It is not that we cannot handle 2-3 things together or multiple things together. To Joy FM, we are doing this in the best interest of our country. We lowered our political pressure in the best interest of our country. Because like I said, the EFFL is a different political organization with different ideology. What you see in Liberia, and you as a journalist, you are witness of the situations in Liberia. Political parties lack internal discipline. Many of the political parties in Liberia, they have never been coherent in terms of decision. You find the political party making one decision, then at the legislature, where most of the lawmakers serve as executive committee of their political party, you find them making different decisions. We want to do it differently. We want to build an institution that would not be around, that would not surround an individual. We want to build a political institution that the Liberian people can trust. So it is about Liberia, not about us. Not about us. We have never acted because of us. We have always acted because of the Liberian people, and we will continue to do so because of the Liberian people. If I address the question correctly.
Yes, a follow-up.
Yeah.
You stated that you want to contest in Magui County, and that goes to my question. You have not been, yet accepted in terms of being a political party. If this is in the interest of Liberia, what rush?
Look, let me say this to you. And many times people say, oh, it's better you remain a pressure grouping to talk and talk and talk. The media is a pressure group. Different civil society organizations are pressure groupings. But here we are. All of the talking you media have done. Talking every day about corruption in Liberia, about raping Liberia, about everything. What is happening in Liberia? The people are still looting the state and undermining our international credibility as a nation. They have not stopped. If the United States government has not placed sanctions on McGill, or Bill Traore, and Serena Silva, who claims I will have gone to jail for 1 year, but he is even in a bigger jail, will not have resigned with all the pressure we have placed on this government. You, the media, the different political parties, we have pressured them. When did they listen to us to resign? They never resigned. But because of the United States government power, they resigned. So it's about power, it's about decision making. So when we are the legislature, we will have the power to make decisions. But being a pressure group, you just sit down on the radio, you talk, you have press conferences, and you are not around the decision-making body. So you cannot make decisions. Today we've been protesting about war crimes. Where are we? You listen to the U.S. ambassador who came. He said there must be legislation from the Capitol building. The decision, it's about decision. So our action to register as a political party, this man want to be represented, this man want to be represented. Every members of the institution want to contest, but they want to contest on the evidence of the institution. How can they contest? If we were at the legislature with our political and ideological understanding, but now you have the law to establish war crime code in full swing. But because we are not there, we're just talking. So we cannot make decisions. So this is about Liberia. Mattia talked about whether we are in a democratic space and people who are supporting Georgia, why should we describe them as murderers? Let me say this to you. Democracy was not designed to give us an emperor. Democracy was never designed to give us dissidents, a leader. Democracy was never designed to give us tyrants as leader. Tyrants and emperors and dissidents are byproduct of democracy. And Georgia is a byproduct of democracy. So when you have byproduct of democracy, you take steps. So our opinion or our position that those who will support Georgia presidency in 2023, it can fairly be described as murderer, means that you stay in a country you love, you claim to love your country, but you are supporting a byproduct of democracy which undermines the country's credibility. So we're clear about that, and we all know about an apology for that.
Question. Legal action.
Well, like I said, our lawyers are going to engage the National Election Commission immediately. Our legal team will engage because this is uncivilized, this is barbaric, this has no place in modern democracy, this has no place in civilized democracy, that somebody will write an institution. Since January 5th, we've been there 100 times and no response. No meeting. We are just going there. The only thing we can do now is for our lawyers to begin to engage the Election Commission. That's all we can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
That was the boss of chief of the Freedom Fighter of Libera. Thank you for watching and keep sharing. My name is Pastor Donzo, and we're live from the office of the Freedom Fighter.